Hello Ross Draver, welcome back to our devotional video series called Holy Uncertainty. If you remember from last week, our definition of holy uncertainty is the capacity to live with a very loose grip or no grip at all on our plans or our outcomes. Because our security in life doesn't come from plans or outcomes, but it comes from a relationship with God. Last week, we looked at the invitation that God gives to His people to camp around His presence and to trust that He will guide and lead us in all seasons of uncertainty. Today, as we continue this study, I wanted to focus on the importance of letting God form us into people who are ready for whatever happens next. There is a fantastic moment in the life of Jesus that is recorded in Luke 10, verses 38 to 42. Luke 10, 38 to 42 reads this: As Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister, Mary, sat at the Lord's feet listening to him and whatever he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, "Lord, doesn't it bother you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work?" And a lot of us can agree with that. "Tell her then to come and help me." But the Lord said to her, "My dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about, and Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her." Now, Jesus showed concern for Martha's concern, but he did not do what she asked. The many things that bothered Martha were her preparations for an elaborate dinner for the master teacher, even when the master teacher, the living Word himself, was teaching in her house. She was distracted by the details. There were a lot of dispensable things going on. She could have prepared a smaller meal so that she could spend time with Jesus. But Jesus himself and the teachings of Jesus, that is what is indispensable. Mary had chosen that what was most important in life was to sit at the feet of the teacher and be transformed by his words. The point that Jesus was trying to make is that in the midst of doing so much and trying to plan every little detail out, the most important thing is actually sitting, being still, and being transformed by God and His Word. Too many of us try to figure out every little detail that we actually miss out on the enjoyment of an experience. And so we must be a people that let God form us into a people who are ready for whatever happens next. It's easy for us to get so bogged down in the details, and especially now during a season when we can't really anticipate what's going to happen. This is the most important time where we should sit down and trust and listen to the teachings of Jesus so that we are transformed into a people of peace and rest. Otherwise, we will run the risk of turning into a people of fear and anxiety. One famous person once said that what we dwell on, we become. So if we dwell on fear and anxiety and not knowing what's going to happen in the future, we will turn into people who are actually fearful of the future. But if we focus on God's Word, if we listen to Jesus' teachings and we allow it to transform us and we dwell on what He says, we become like Jesus and we have peace and rest. God is calling us in the season of holy uncertainty to sit and dwell on the teachings of Jesus so that we could be formed into the people that Jesus wants us to be formed into. So sit with the teacher, sit with Jesus, allow his teachings to come over you and dwell on what he says each and every day of your life so that you will be transformed into a people of love so that you can love God with all of your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul, and so that you could love others. And when you do that, you are living in holy uncertainty. God bless.